think I give a shit about my legacy. That's not what matters. In the end, it's the mark that we actually leave on the world, not the mark we're perceived to leave on the world, that matters.
Welcome back to What's the Deal? How quickly do you think you could lose $16 billion? Just ask Sam Bankman-Freed, the owner and CEO of FTX, whose net worth plummeted from $16 billion to zero in less than 1 week. And that's not even his biggest issue. Sam also faces criminal charges over the collapse of FTX. It is by far the biggest scandal in the history of crypto. It even involves drug use, inter-office affairs, and celebrities. So, what's the deal? In 2014, Sam graduated from MIT and began to work at New York trading firm Jane Street Capital. At Jane Street Capital, he discovered a trading loophole where he could easily buy Bitcoin at a cheap rate in the US and then flip them at a higher rate in the Japanese market. On certain days, Bankman could rake in as much as $25 million. By 2017, he used some of that money to start his own company called Alameda Research, a trading firm with an expressed focus on cryptocurrency. Those who did not dive deeper would think that this is a solid business strategy, but what they did not know was that Alameda was made up mainly of Sam's college friends and former work colleagues. In fact, most of Alameda's staff would be made up of Sam's small social group, who lived and partied together in the Bahamas. In fact, some of them were even mixing business with pleasure, if you catch my drift. There was certainly young romance in the air. It's like a real-life soap opera right in the office. And here's the kicker. Alameda's CEO, Caroline Ellison, just so happened to be Sam's girlfriend. Now, you'd think that's maybe just a little too cozy, right? Well, it gets more sketchy. Caroline also wasn't shy about sharing her love for amphetamine drugs on Twitter. Yep, you heard that right. She's tweeted about her favorite pick-me-up like it's the latest Netflix binge. And this is all while she's leading an investment management company. 2 years later, Sam started up his second firm, FTX, a cryptocurrency exchange platform. This was a significant step forward for Bankman-Freed. With FTX, not only could he allow customers to store and exchange different cryptocurrencies, but he could also develop his own, called FTT. FTT, just like FTX, grew rapidly, and by 2020 was already an established household platform. Alameda, a crypto-based trading firm, and FTX, a crypto exchange platform, seemed like an inseparable pair whose functionality definitely had to be linked, right? Well, if you believed Sam Bankman-Fried, it wasn't. The official narrative was that these two companies were completely separate entities. Regardless of the obvious conflict of interest, FTX grew fast. Near the beginning, Binance invested in FTX to show support, but by 2021, FTX had grown so much they became a rival of Binance. FTX was now averaging $10 billion a day in trading volume from its more than 1 million users. Also, the company gained investment from Silicon Valley and Wall Street. Before long, FTX ranked as the 4th largest cryptocurrency exchange in the world. Commercially, FTX was going strong. They had a UC Berkeley stadium named after them, as well as an NBA stadium in Miami. FTX had commercial partnerships with both the Golden State Warriors and the Mercedes F1 team. Top celebrities like Naomi Osaka, Tom Brady, Stephen Curry, and Larry David all promoted FTX in one way or another. The PR machine for Bankman-Freed and FTX was in full flow. Personally, Sam Bankman-Freed was viewed as a savior in the crypto field. He even spent about $1 billion to bail out bankrupt lenders Voyager. When digital prices were collapsing in early 2022, FTX's FTT token held strong, acting as a safe haven for people to store and retain their asset values. In addition to all that, Sam built a mechanism on FTX to help support Ukraine. This allowed donations in crypto that could then be converted into fiat currency for deposit at the National Bank of Ukraine. FTX was also getting more and more politically entangled. Bankman-Freed donated $5 million to Joe Biden in 2020, while a lesser-known figure from FTX donated $23 million to the Republicans. FTX was clearly playing both sides of the political chessboard, most likely to have influence regardless of the election results.
I pulled out my phone here and just looked at my last 10 text messages. About half of them are going to be people asking for, politicians asking for contributions, but those.
Do you have a political expert or advisor?
Yeah.
In fact, Sam was even called the JP Morgan of crypto, which is an extreme heavyweight comparison. However, little did we all know that the rosy days were about to hit a stormy patch faster than you can say crypto crash. From the start, a lot of FTX's employees and investors were skeptical of the company's structure and how informal it all seemed. Current and former FTX and Alameda employees claimed that the office was riddled with conflicts of interest, nepotism, and a lack of oversight. A good example was Nishard, Gary, and Sam, the three buddies who used to run the operations at FTX. Nishard's girlfriend was hired at FTX and immediately promoted to head of HR. She often protected the interest of Sam and would even fire people if they disagreed with the top. The professionalism was shockingly bad for an organization that big. Reports even claim that stakeholders and investors would be left in the dark over certain decisions that Sam and his friends took. Soon, this operation began to unravel. On November 2nd, 2022, CoinDesk published a report based on a leaked Alameda balance sheet. According to that document, Alameda was flaunting a whopping $14 billion in assets at the end of the fiscal year. Impressive, right? Well, not so fast. The twist in this tale is that most of those assets were in the form of FTX's FTT tokens. Now, Caroline, Bankman's girlfriend and CEO of Alameda, decided to do some damage control. She hopped on Twitter and claimed that the balance sheet was like a puzzle, missing some pieces. Apparently, they had tons of other digital treasures stashed away somewhere else. Also, she said that Alameda was under control financially, so there was no need to worry. However, the market didn't buy it, and a lot of people began to withdraw their money from FTX. But this was nothing compared to what was about to come next. Remember when we said Binance invested in FTX early on? Well, it turns out FTX repaid their investment by providing Binance with a very large amount of their FTT token. The entirety of Binance's stock in FTX was in FTT token form. So, amidst the storm, on November 6th, Binance decided to sell all of their FTT tokens worth hundreds of millions of dollars into the open market. And that, in turn, whipped the trading market into a frenzy. That day alone, FTX processed $4 billion worth of transactions. So much so that some of the transactions became backlogged, which then sparked more fears in the market and led to even more transaction demands. By November 7th, the daily transactions climbed to over $6 billion. By November 8th, 2022, FTX was already in big trouble. They reached out to Binance for help, and Binance, initially, at first, responded. They offered to buy FTX, which would rescue the situation from utter doom. But it was not to be. Upon internal investigation into FTX's books, they discovered just how shady the company was. And given the fact that FTX was now under criminal investigation over customer funds, Binance decided to bail on any potential takeover, leaving FTX to crash and burn. On November 10, 2022, the Wall Street Journal reported the absolutely shocking news that FTX, in quote, tapped into customer accounts to fund risky bets by Alameda, end quote. Sam Bankman-Freed was willing to transfer billions of customer funds from his crypto exchange to help his struggling crypto trading firm Alameda, which not only was super illegal, but it also failed and backfired spectacularly. The Securities and Exchange Commission, as well as the Department of Justice, opened investigations into both FTX and Alameda. Caroline Ellison also accidentally said on a phone call that FTX used customer funds to help Alameda meet its liabilities. On November 11, 2022, both Alameda and FTX filed for bankruptcy. FTX, a company worth $32 billion at the start of 2022, was now worth nothing in November. Going down with FTX included firms like Crypto VC, SoftBank, BlockFi, Goloa Capital, and so many more. Even a Canadian teacher's pension fund worth $95 million was lost by FTX. At the same time, Sam Bankman-Fried's net worth receded from over $16 billion to almost zero in the space of 24 hours. FTX's bankruptcy file reflects 134 affiliate companies scattered across the world and an estimated $50 billion in liabilities. If the reports are to be believed, then Alameda and FTX execs even knew that customer money was passed between the two firms under the table. What's worse is that $370 million then appeared to be missing among all the madness, with FTX subsequently claiming it was a hack. This is a developing story, and who knows what will come out next.